What's up, guys? Welcome to Found Flicks. Jamie and I went to go see Get Out, the highly anticipated film from normally comedian Jordan Peele. Before we get too deep into things, I want to let you guys know there won't be any spoilers in this part. We'll save all of that for a second part, so you can still kind of get our thoughts about the movie without everything getting spoiled. This movie definitely has been way hyped, and I've been looking forward to it. But in case you haven't heard of it, here's just kind of a general rundown of the plot. It follows a mixed race couple, Chris and Rose, and they go to visit Rose's parents, who are kind of rich, snooty country folk. I could see why he would be concerned, but it turns out there's a lot more reasons for him to be concerned, because it turns out white people be crazy. And if you're looking for just our general thoughts, our overall feelings, if you should see the movie or not, I would say definitely go see it. What would you say about that? I mean, do you think it lived up to the hype of the movie?
I absolutely thought it lived up to the hype. It was probably my favorite horror movie that I've seen in the theater. Well, straight full-on horror, right? Well, yeah. I really enjoyed The Lure, which we did previously.
Too.
But
I try to think of that, of whether I'd like this or The Lure better. But
that was, as we already talked about and discussed, was like more of a... This was kind of a hybrid as well. They were both genre hybrids, but that was like more... genres.
Every genre.
Yeah, and this was a little bit more focused, I guess, than that. So it came across as like a little bit more full-on horror than that, and psychological thriller, I guess.
That's a big part of it too.
Yeah,
I would say horror thriller kind of fits the bill for it.
And a little science fiction.
That's true. Actually, I also think that it was one of the most crowd-pleasing movies. It was a huge packed house. We saw it at one of those advanced screenings. There's tons of those around now. And people were loving it.
They were so engaged. Yeah, I don't know the last time I've been at a movie besides like an Alamo, sing-along where you're supposed to be floating along with the movie, where people were making comments and you can hear them all over and laughing, but also screaming. Like there were some jump scares where people jumped and screamed, but then a few minutes later would start laughing. So
I mean, that's a big thing that I was kind of surprised from. The trailer itself wasn't very funny, and so I wondered if the movie itself would be funny. I kind of
thought it was. Like,
maybe, I don't know.
I
just thought it was like kind of creepy and spooky. I don't know, maybe just me.
I thought it was creepy and spooky, but it definitely, I guess I couldn't escape, like I couldn't erase the thought of Jordan Peele directing.
I see.
So like there's no way it can't be, like it's going to have to have some comic undertones. I felt like it was supposed to be like a dark humor type of weird thing.
Well, it certainly was. I mean, it wasn't even entirely dark humor too. There was like a lot of
a dark satire, almost like a satirical, like take on modern racial issues or societal fears of society, I guess.
I mean, I guess that's the thing. I mean, I saw that Jordan Peele was talking about this element too, of the idea of that we don't actually live in a post-racial world.
Right.
And so this kind of is exposing obviously a much more extreme, hyperbolic version of that concept, but he said he was thinking, or I guess when it first was conceived is around the Trayvon Martin time, which was that thing where it was somebody that was specifically singled out because of their color.
Right.
The way that Allison Williams describes her family is like, they're one of those,
they're so not racist.
They're so progressive and they're liberals and,
My dad would have voted for Obama a third time.
And of course he says that.
And he's going to have a conversation with you about
exactly.
it, which is funny anyway, because it's like the most cliche statement like a white person could make to a black person to try to make that black person feel like, I don't hate black people. I voted for Obama, so clearly I'm not a racist.
Yeah, obviously. But then that's the whole thing. Is like even those people present themselves as one way, but underneath what they really feel is something else entirely.
Right. Well, that's why they're making a stupid statement like that. It's
it's clearly overcompensating for what they truly feel. But it made me think of what you mentioned after we saw the movie, one of the first scenes with Bradley Whitford, because the couple gets into a wreck with a deer.
Right.
What Bradley Whitford is saying about the deer is clearly related to how he feels about, African Americans.
I knew as soon as I heard that speech from him that obviously they were racist. Well, and we kind of already knew that was going there anyway.
Yeah,
but,
there wasn't too much of a question from the trailers.
That was a total parallel to Prejudice, like, I would leave them on the road.
Well, and it's just like,
I don't like them. I just don't like them.
Yeah, I don't like them. And every dead one, I think there's another, it's a good thing that there's another dead one.
And if I see one that's dead on the side of the road, I think, good job.
Yeah, exactly. But and obviously that's not what he feels about deer. I mean, maybe he does feel that way about deer too. It's hard to say, but it's clear what he's truly saying, and that summarizes a lot of what the real core of the movie is.
Right.
Presenting one side of yourself, but in reality it's something else that's much more sinister and kind of dangerous, I guess, in a way that you think. I don't know.
Super dangerous. I mean, yeah.
But the whole way that the story unfolds is that the character Chris, who's obviously has never been into this society or this world of his girlfriend's parents, and is slowly revealed over time what they really think. I was thinking of this, how similar it is to, and I think Jordan Peele said this too, like the Stepford Wives and Rosemary's Baby, where it's kind of that same idea of this hidden society where they present themselves one way, and then actually there's this darkness underneath that the character is not aware of,
Well, it's like that small community that has ulterior motives. Like, we're going to act all nice and sweet to you so that we can make you trust us, so that we can ultimately kill you or whatever. Get you impregnated by Satan.
Yeah, put you in a bee mask like the Wicker Man or whatever.
Yeah,
the bees!
Not the bees! I did think that was interesting. Like, girlfriend Rose, consistent role of like making him feel like he is her in.
Well, and just again, it is somebody else to go, hey, that was pretty fucked up, like what they said.
Right,
you know what I mean?
So that you're not completely going, running out through the gate or whatever. Like,
well, there's that idea of it just like, is it just me being paranoid? You know what I mean? And then she's there to go like, no, that really was, not right what they said.
Right.
But it's sort of, again, that's exposed more, and there's the deeper layers to it as he's there longer. Once the actual whole family shows up for the big special weekend that they do once a year.
Right.
And that's what I thought was really interesting, is that it's things like that, or when he meets the guy who you see in the trailer, and he's kind of got this look that's not very contemporary African-American attire and stuff.
Andre.
Yeah, Andre. It gets sillier because it's more ridiculous what they're exposing is their society, but it's also still like really creepy at the same time, because you're like, what is this actually mean?
Amount to, yeah, like what's really going on here.
Well, and that's why, again, I think it's that real core concept of, is it paranoia, or is this a legitimate feeling that I have? Should I be concerned because of the color of my skin,
Yeah, and I think that, I don't know, it's very clever, like very intelligent. I think the thing that he did, I'm talking about Peele, with the concept of the sunken zone, like this idea that there's this part of your consciousness that is still there, like that scene where he's floating in what seems to be an ocean of space or whatever you want to call that.
The sunken zone.
He looks like he's staring at a TV screen of reality and is just suspended, and you have absolutely no control over anything. Like, one of my favorite parts was when the housemaid, I forgot her name.
It's like Geraldine, I think.
Where they have that conversation about her unplugging his charger, and she does that whole like, no, that goes on forever, and you're just like, oh my god, like what the fuck is wrong with this lady?
Broken?
But then there's a tear that like comes down her face, and it's like you can tell there's like almost like this struggle going on in her mind that's disturbing and weird and funny and scary at the same time.
I know. All that illustrates that concept again of it being scary and funny at the same time, and it's able to keep increasing that overall level of it throughout the movie.
And make you feel disturbed, like, or just uncomfortable. Even, I think that's what those emotions do. Like, you're laughing, but then you're feeling scared at the same time. It's like this emotional, like, wait a minute, this is not right.
Well, and that's why it's really smart to do that in a horror movie, because when people are laughing, it's like letting their guard down. You know what I mean? And so they're like, oh, ho, ho, that guy was hilarious. His TSA friend, who was hilarious.
He was hilarious.
But then you're more at ease now because you've laughed, and then something more creepy happens.
Smacks you in the face.
Exactly, and that's why it's really smart to make it really funny, and then people go apeshit over the jokes.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, whoa. I was not ready for that, sir. But, I mean, Jordan Peele talked about that too. What I'd read is that the first movie that he saw that scared the shit out of him was Nightmare on Elm Street. And then what that movie series is kind of notorious for is that as the movies progressed, it was like that degree of him being scary versus funny all the time kind of went.
Well, the lines got cheesier and cheesier.
So while most people would think that the series got worse and less scary over time as Freddy got funnier, Jordan actually thinks that it's...
Freddy also got fingered.
That's, Tom Green's great. He's another voice. Where's the Tom Green horror movie? That's what we're waiting for.
I thought, wasn't that the Green Inferno?
Tom Green wasn't in that.
Oh, I mixed him up with that guy, Eli something.
You mean Master of Horror, Eli Roth? Jordan's whole line of reasoning on it is that it's actually that you're rooting for the villain more because he's making you laugh and also the fear at the same time. And so that's something that he employs in this movie as well with the family. They're really funny. Again, there were plenty of times when the Bradley Whitford made me laugh.
Well, I think the funniness is also like a factor of deception. You know, it's like,
Absolutely.
oh, everybody likes a funny person.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to laugh.
Right.
Like you were saying earlier, like the letting your guard down thing. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I can trust this person. They're funny. Or,
Right.
you know, I'm laughing. That's a comfortable emotion. You wouldn't expect, you know.
You wouldn't expect anything bad to happen now, would you?
Yeah. I was about to totally spoil it.
But before we spoil anything too serious, because there's some big twists and big stuff that happens in the end, and we don't want to spoil it for you guys. But to summarize, this movie is definitely worth seeing. Make sure to go see it as soon as possible so the theater's packed. I mean, there was this lady near the end of it that just yells out, "This is an excellent movie."
She did say that, but you know why? Because, I can't tell you. That's in the next one.
Don't spoil it, but she's right to say it, folks. That's to summarize. Go see this movie. It's awesome. You'll love it. We know you want to see more spoilers, so stay tuned. Part 2! Click over there. It's probably over there, and you can click on it. Maybe it's on this side. Shit, I'm reversed now.